Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the afternoon session of the IoT Symposium 2015. I'm the MC today, Yoi. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Great. Everybody sounds energetic. So you didn't eat too much, I wonder. So in this section, we will have another 2 keynote presentations. May I first invite Mr. Sean Lee, Director, Product Strategy, Big Photo, Asia Pacific and Japan regions, to share with us on creating the foundations for the Internet of Things. Mr. Lee, please.
Thank you. So I gathered, this morning when I look back, I noticed there were just about the same number of people. So I think we have a lot of the audience that came back, or maybe new folks that are joining as well. I usually like the session right after lunch because typically you're not asleep yet. The food hasn't kicked in. You haven't digested everything yet. So at least you'll have a good 20 minutes to listen to me before perhaps the food might kick in. So let me ask you a quick question first. How many of you have heard of this company called Pivotal? Wow, that's actually a lot more than I thought. Okay, that's good. The reason why I ask that question is because our company is only roughly 2 years old. Right, 2 years old. We are a Silicon Valley startup. Our headquarters is right in San Francisco. But at the same time, in 2 years, our company has grown to a size of 1,700 people. So unfortunately, I'm not one of 5 in this startup. I have no chance to become a billionaire because of this company. However, it is doing something very, very interesting, and I'd like to share some of that with you, especially in the area of IoT and in the area of big data. So how did we come about? This is a picture of our CEO. We came about because when we came into the market 2 years ago, literally on April Fool's Day 2013, I kid you not, April 1st, I thought we were kidding. But we came together because our parent company, EMC and VMware, had a number of technology assets that they had built or acquired over the last 6, 7, 8 years. And they decided that in order for the company to continue to innovate in the direction of cloud and big data and IoT and all these fancy marketing terms that everyone keeps throwing around, they have to really take this company out, carve it out, to allow it to grow on its own. And that's how we came about to become a company 2 years ago. So when we came together, one of the most interesting things is, a lot of startups are striving to become a billion-dollar company, right? They looked at Instagram, they look at WhatsApp, it's striving to become a billion-dollar company. US, by the way, not Hong Kong, US. Well, the good thing for me is, the company, when we started, we were immediately at $1 billion. The reason is, outside of EMC and VMware, you see a third logo there. And that is a company that usually you don't associate with technology all that much. It's a company called GE, General Electric. And they invested in the company because they wanted to really transform their company from an industrial giant to also a very large software-based technology company. Right? That's what GE wanted to do. So GE invested $105 million in Pivotal to buy 10% stake. So anyone that can do a simple math, that basically valued the company at roughly $1 billion and a little bit. All right, so what we've done now, and I'll share with you a couple of use cases. In seminars like these, I don't want to go too deep into the technology because I've got 20 minutes. That's definitely not enough time. Plus technology that will definitely put you to sleep. So I want to share with you some use cases around what customers are using our technology to do in the area of big data. And I want you to focus on the ROI. I want you to focus on the value that they're gaining from it. Right? Because IoT is not just about sensors, it's not just about data. One of the presenters this morning talked about it's about value. So I want you to focus on the value and see if there is something interesting in these use cases that might be of interest to you. So let me go one more. There were many slides this morning that talked about how big the market is. Big data, IoT, sensor technology, and all of that. So we're familiar with this, right? Smart cars, trains, and terminals, and medical, and so on. But I specifically added this diagram, this picture of horse racing on the top left-hand side. Well, there's one reason, because if I do that in the States, not too many people will be associated with horse racing, but in Hong Kong, everybody knows what that is. You know, when people talk about Internet of Things, it isn't just things, or isn't just about people. Sometimes it could be Internet of horses as well. Right? If you think about what that means, think about what that means for a second, right? You know, for the jockey club, right? We all know the jockey club. How do they make money? They make money when people, you know, bet on their system. What do people bet on? Well, traditionally, every morning you go to cha teng or yang cha, right? You see these people with the newspaper, and they're looking at the numbers, which horse, you know, when, where, how did they do? Was it on the dirt, or was it grass, and things like that. That's people doing quote-unquote big data in their head, right? These are professional gamblers. Now, you know, with technology, they're starting to input a lot of these data, creating algorithms to, you know, to determine their win probability. Well, what about Internet of Things or sensors on horses, right? What if you put sensors on these horses so you can monitor their health? Not just for health reasons, but you can also take that data and actually share that with the public, free, right? And allow people to use that data to think about potentially, so if they got more massages on the front legs and they happen to win more, then maybe that's a trend moving forward, so they want to use that information, right? I know gambling is not usually a very, very good topic to talk about in the afternoon, but Internet of Horses, right? We work with some companies in Australia, Internet of Sheeps. Sheeps go all over the place when they eat grass, right? How do you track them? How do you bring them back? Internet of Sheeps. All these fancy marketing terms. The reality is, there are a lot of smart devices, a lot of sensors, a lot of information, a lot of people using it. But the goal is really, you know, the trend that we're seeing now is a lot of these data, these technologies are becoming really self-aware, right? They don't wait for you to ask for the information or for the data to be sent to you. These data are automatically, proactively being sent to application users, vendors, companies, and so on and so forth. You want to almost use these information to predict what's going to happen because there's value in the prediction. Now, of course, how you do the prediction is of utmost importance, and that's why people throw around terms like data science and things like that. And there's a lot of curriculums now that companies around the world, including us, are working with the university community and so on to really teach people what data science really means. It's not just mathematics. What does that really mean? And how do you become proficient in it? So I'll skip the first part, right? 10 billion, 30 billion, everybody's throwing around really, really big numbers. All that means to me is there's a lot of zeros behind it. But I want you to focus on the middle and the right-hand side. IoT isn't a problem where you gather all the data and then you do something fancy with it. IoT very much now is becoming very real-time. Things are happening all the time. So in order for your applications and your data platforms to be able to handle the information that are coming from IoT, requires you to have a platform that allows you to scale dynamically, allows you to be able to stream information in and process that in real time. Now, I told you I'm not talking about technology. I'm just talking about this notion, this common sense of, yeah, there's all this information, but what are you going to do with it? How are you going to handle it? So this is what typically people do, right? They gather a lot of data. So it could be Facebook, Twitter. It could be, you know, sensor information. It could be your phone. It could be a lot of stuff. And then they collect a lot of it. You know, there was some conversation during lunch and earlier today at the panel about, you know, getting data from the government. Well, that's good because you can get all that data in a batch mode, right? So you gather a lot of it. You throw it in some storage environment, and then you try to analyze it, right? But that's not real time, right? People want things to be proactive and reactive format. In fact, what research has shown is 50 to 80% of most activities that people are doing in big data projects, IoT projects, have to do with data wrangling, right? They're manipulating data, they're playing with data, they're trying to get the data ready, right? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So if you're spending 80% of your time just manipulating data, then you only have 20% of your time to actually gain some value out of it. The order should be reversed, right? You should be spending 80% of your time writing applications, test things out, instead of worrying about how data needs to be managed. So, you know, increasingly we're seeing companies that are going into this type of an architecture, right? So, yes, still the same type of data, right? Maybe mobile information, maybe Twitter, maybe databases, and so on. They create an architecture where they can stream that information in and process it in real time. And Professor Kong this morning talked about machine learning, right? So once you have that information, you want to create an environment where it's starting to learn on itself. But the goal is you need to be able to do it retroactively. You need to do it iteratively as well, right? You need to have an environment. You need to teach people how to do so. So our company's claim to fame isn't because of our technology. Yes, we have very good technology, of course we do, right? But what we do is we actually teach companies how to actually write these applications. How do they actually make use of the data? Let me give you a very quick example. How many of you are Facebook users? Facebook. Almost all, right? Almost all. And those of you that don't have your hands up, you're just embarrassed to say so. How many of you have used Uber here? In Hong Kong or other places? We actually co-developed those applications with those companies. Now, we did not co-develop with Facebook. We co-developed the mobile applications that you have on your phone. Right? We work with them so that they get a better understanding of how to develop that on the mobile world, because Facebook traditionally is very much a website-based environment, online-based environment. Uber needs to understand people's behavior. They need to know when people are going from one place to another, what are they doing? How much are they paying? What are the frequency? What are the high turns? Right? When you use Uber, you don't pay the same price all the time. There's dynamic pricing. Right? Sometimes it's 1.2 times or 1.3 times. If there are more demand than the supply of taxis that are available. So this is an iterative process. People need to know how to do this. So we have taken the experience that we have learned working with these very large startups, or very small startups that became very big. We're now taking those experience and working with the enterprises, the big banks, the big telcos, right? The big hospitals, the big governments. Actually, big government is not so much a good thing, right? So we're working with these very large enterprises so that we can help them develop software, analyze data the same way that these internet companies are doing so. So let me give you a couple examples. So this is GE Aviation. Well, it's very handy that we have plenty of GE examples because they're one of our investors, right? So this is GE Aviation. Now, did you know that on a typical airline, right? I just flew in from Singapore last night. On a typical flight, the engines, right? The engines is collecting or generating terabytes of data. Terabytes of data, right? That's a lot of information that they typically will then download, suck into some sort of system, and then analyze on a periodical basis. But what GE has determined is that if you think about an airline, they only make money when the plane is flying. When it's sitting on the tarmac, right, on the runway, they're not making money, right? So they need to be able to generate more value while these companies are providing the data, and they need to be able to analyze it a certain way. So what GE has done is they said, okay, well, we need to improve the efficiency. We need to help our customers. Who are their customers? The customers are the airlines, right? In terms of aviations anyways. So they want to help the airlines minimize downtime. They want to make sure before a problem happens, they're able to tell them, predictably tell them when things might potentially go wrong, or when they need to replace a certain part. Right? That's what they're trying to do. Now, typically, if you're doing it in this manner, if you're downloading all that data, shipping it over to GE, and GE does something and then send it back, that is weeks, if not months, before you find out any information. So what GE has figured out is, well, specifically for the aviation department, they can actually offer that as a service. So now GE isn't just selling the engine to their customer, they're also taking the same data that have been generated from those products, package it up as analytics services, selling it back to the customer. Additional revenue stream. Right? So IoT, big data, these are not just technology problems, these are very real business problems or business opportunities. Right? And in this case, this is very much a business opportunity that they have now created. Now you're starting to see why they spend so much money investing in our company, right? Because there's a lot of value in generating new ideas, new ways of doing things that a lot of the world now is ready to do. This is a slightly different company. This is a company called Monsanto. This has nothing to do with aviation. This is about agriculture, right? Yield, right? If you think about commodities, typically when you think about commodities these days, what do you think about? You think about oil, right? You think about copper, you think about these hard material, right? Commodity, the new commodity this world isn't so much energy, because there's a lot of innovation now around alternative energy. The next scarcity that you're having in the world is food. It is food. There are more and more people in the world. There's not that much food that can go around. That's why you still have so much poverty around in the world. So what this company has set out to do is they want to create a platform. They want to create a paradigm where they can maximize yield management. They want to help the farmers understand what is happening in their field, using sensor technology, of course, but they want to understand what they're doing. They want to understand weather patterns and how it's affecting yield. They want to see, from a logistics perspective, can they minimize some of the metrics that they need to do so that they can ship the food to the folks much quicker before they go bad. This is the type of problem they're trying to solve. Right? Yes, it's IoT. Yes, it's sensors. There's a lot of equipment. But that is not what they're trying to do. They're trying to maximize yield management. So this is what they're looking at. This is the initial projects that they've done. They're processing data from roughly 400 million acre of farm. That's a lot. That's a very, very big space. I think that's bigger than Hong Kong, right? Probably. I can't translate square kilometer with acres. But what they're doing is getting information from all these farms, from all the crops that are growing on them, and trying to make sure they understand and can create some patterns around what's happening so they can maximize whether it's some material that they put into the soil or the process at which they actually collect the crop. So that's just an agricultural example. Let's go into something that a lot of people like to talk about, wearables, right? Consumer electronics. So this is a company called Under Armour. You heard of them before? Right? Nike, Adidas. Under Armour is one of this newcomer. Right? They're very, very popular now. They're mostly into extreme sports. Right? So their sportswear is very durable. And this is a quote directly from the CEO. Right? He says, I'll be damned if I'm going to cede anything to Silicon Valley or any other technology company because I believe we are a technology company. Now this is the CEO of an apparel company. Apparel, clothing, right? But he is actually saying, in order for them to win, their competitive advantage is going to be using technology. Now why is that the case? Because if you think about what they're trying to do, everybody is talking about wearables in terms of phones. The Apple Watch is coming out, I think, next week, right? You've got a lot of phones and things like that. But people are now putting sensors in the clothes that you wear. I mean, think of the day when you have sensors in your underwear. That's going to be a very weird scenario. But people are doing that, right? Sensor-based socks. I mean, people just want to monitor what's happening. Now, there are real medical use cases around it. We don't have time to go through it today. But Under Armour says, hey, as a company, we want to own the fitness industry. They want to own the fitness category. So in order for them to do that, they need to be able to collect this information, create new product as a result of what they analyze, so that they will be able to do so. Now, when this CEO, Kevin, when he set out this goal, he didn't just say it as a marketing goal. He actually set aside budget so that his company can go acquire or build technology that will help him towards this goal. So he set aside $1 billion. He should have probably just bought my company, right? But he set aside $1 billion to invest into this category. So what are the things that he has done? He acquired 3 apps company. 3 apps company. All 3 of them have existing users, and they're all in the fitness category, with a very large following. He spends $800 million buying these 3 companies. So now he's got a lot of data. Now he's got a lot of users. But then he figured out, wait, none of these companies are Under Armour, so they're all anonymous information all over the place. He needs to really tie them together. So he started working with us and asked us to help them develop their own app. And the application and the ecosystem that they build is so that they can tie all of these different assets together, make use of that information, monetize the services that they have acquired. So the app that they have built, that we have built with them, there's some screenshots over here, but I figured instead of showing you screenshots, let me show you a commercial that they created as a result of the launch of this new service.
philosopher Aristotle said, you are what you repeatedly do. But in our book, we take it a little deeper. We say you are what you repeatedly do when things get hard. When things get hard, legacies are built on those moments. When you look at the naysayers and the haters, and there's a million of them, but you take it upon yourself to erase all doubt. Get that doubt out of here. So my apologies to Aristotle, but excellence doesn't become a habit by running the same path over and over. No. You know what the excellent ones do? They reinvent the race altogether. The excellent ones just step up to the line and ask, what's the record? Underwrong, get your feet straight.
So if any one of you want to play with the app, you can download from the Google Play Store, the Apple iOS Store. The goal here is this. Instead of just using existing data, they want to collect more. Now, they don't have all the material, all the sensor-based underwear technology yet, right? They don't have it yet. There's a lot of regulatory stuff that they have to go through first. But what they wanted to do was build an ecosystem. They want to build a network. They want to build a repository. They want to start collecting that information. Why buy it when you can collect it yourself? Bring it in. You've got a platform to do so now. Now they're going to start to make use of it. So what you saw with the athlete playing with the iPhone, that is the app that we built for them. They built it right in our San Francisco office together with our team so that we can co-innovate with them using some of these latest cloud and big data and IoT technologies that you heard of a lot this morning already. So with that, I still had to show a little bit of technology. I do work for a vendor, so just one very quick slide. This is basically the architecture that we usually work with companies like Samsung and Toshiba and other very large consumer electronics companies. This is roughly the architecture that they use. They stream the data in, they process it, then they be able to create machine learning, data science methodologies to understand what that data is showing. But then, more importantly, using the mobile services, push it directly out. Right? If there's no insight, if you can get access to that insight very easily, then data is going to sit in some sort of repository and it's going to get stuck. Right? So the goal is to make use of that information as readily as possible. So we're in the business of helping companies transform. Right? We're in the business of helping companies like Under Armour and GE and so on to transform so they can really make use of the information that they've already gathered from their customers. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your time. And please do check out our website. And please do check out when we do go IPO because you'll be very surprised towards how we'll do. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lee. Please be seated. Thank you so much.